you've got a handful of years under your belt coaching. Do you get just as excited for opening day now as you did when you first got into coaching?
Probably more so, Matt. I mean, it sounds strange. You know, I'm always asked the question, you know, how much longer are you going to do this? And as long as it's fun and you enjoy it and you get excited, then the girls always talk, well, Coach, you need to calm down. You're getting excited and all of that. Well, when that happens, that's when I quit. Because you can't get excited and get fired up and get motivated about it. And I still hate to lose. I don't care what you're doing. I hate to lose. And I like competition. And as long as I think as long as you're competitive and you're working with young people, you're fortunate enough to do that. I think that's what you need to do.
Well, speaking of excitement, you got plenty to be excited about for this coming season. You got a lot of people returning. You got a lot of newcomers that I know you're excited about. Let's just talk a little bit about the circle, because that's where most games begin and end. You've got your number one pitcher coming back, and you've got some room to fill in behind. Just talk a little about your rotation going into this first weekend.
Okay. Well, obviously, you know, Audrey came back all-conference performer, but the surprising part about that was last fall she wasn't our best pitcher. Kelsey Redding threw the best. This fall, Kelsey probably threw the best. We're looking for a lot of things out of Kelsey Redding. Hopefully she'll come through. You know, they just got to go from the practice to the game type situation. Lindy Davison's back. Lindy's probably our best athlete in the circle. In fact, she could easily start at first base or in the outfield if she hit a little bit better, and we joke about that all the time. Then we got the freshman with all the potential that can literally go in and strike people out, and she just needs the experience, and that's J.C. Bennett. So we could be really good in the circle, average, or below average, and it's just according to how they all pan out. You know, we had the fall season, we had a lot of spring. It's hard to judge your pitchers when they're thrown against our hitters, because we got some pretty good hitters. So it's not quite fair. You run a J.C. Bennett out there and say, okay, here's Sam and Katie, I want you to get them out now, base loaded, or a runner on third and one out. Well, she's going to have a hard time doing that, so let's hope that she can do that to their good hitters over. So we're excited about the pitching. I think it's got a lot of potential, and obviously it's going to get better as we play. We got 19 games over here in 3 weeks, so we'll know by the end of this month. We'll know pretty well how well they went on.
You mentioned a little bit about some of the people you've got coming back. Your entire infield's back from last year. You've got a lot of experience coming back. Talk a little bit about your returners and what you're expecting from them, especially in this first weekend.
Okay, well, we just started out first base. You know, Krista started there last year. She led us in home runs. She hit about 290. We got a freshman that we brought in that's playing behind you right now that's been hurt out some. That's Lauren Renneker, who's potentially could hit 10 to 15 home runs for us. Her mother coached over at Cameron for a long time, so we were excited with that. Second base, we got Lindsay Lacey, who led us in stolen base last year, hit over 300, all-conference performer, first team. She may lead off. That's still a question. We're going to be kind of jumping back and forth between her and Paige and see who's going to lead off. Shortstop is Katie Campbell. Started last month of the season, was as good as players that we had. After she got over her injury, took her almost the whole season to get well from that broken foot, which is not easy to do. So we're looking forward to Katie. She'll hit the middle lineup. Then we got Sam Varska back at third, who was our tie for home runs, led us in RBIs, hit over 300, all-conference performer, second team all-region performer. So right in that area there, we ought to be our strength. I mean, if not, something's wrong. Those kids there with the experience they've got. We don't have a lot of depth there. I mentioned we got the one backup infielder that has a pretty good chance to play in there, but there's not much depth besides that in there.
Well, and so you go from your strength being your returners to you've got two positions where you've had very big impact players. At catcher you lose Jen Morales, who was a 4-year starter and your quarterback on the field, so to speak, your coach on the field, and you lose Gina Keys, who was an All-American in the center field. And now you're going to get people to step into those positions. Talk a little bit about what you expect from those people that are going to get the call this weekend.
Okay. As far as catching wise, you don't replace a 4-year starter. It takes a while. It took Jen a year and a half. It took Adrian Stoop, an All-American that we have here in our Hall of Fame, a year and a half to get where they need to be. It just doesn't happen that quick. All three of the girls that are catching have different, do things differently than others. Courtney Moore hits the ball extremely well. Her and Kyra Morris both throw really well. The freshman Whitney Hamilton will probably start as a DP or maybe in the outfield, and she's been hitting the ball in the fall and the spring better than those other two. So you just got a kind of a combination of the three, and hopefully get enough playing time for all of them that one will step to the front and play most of the time. And then losing, the strength of your team is always right up the middle. So we have our pitchers back, our shortstop back, our second baseman back, but the other two, your center fielder and your catcher, are gone. And Jenna, 440 some odd on base percentage. How you gonna get that? Will Lindsay be that? Will Paige be that? The new center fielder we brought in, and only time's gonna tell. But it's exciting to have them and that many new players out there in key position, and with the freshmen we've added, it adds a new dimension to the excitability and all of that. So they've been a lot of fun to be around.
Looking at this weekend a little bit, you've got some tough games on the schedule and things like that. You go down to St. Mary's to start every year. What are your expectations of this weekend?
Well, it's a gamble, Matt. You can go in and you say, okay, you can pick certain teams to throw Audrey against. You say, okay, let's throw Audrey against so-and-so. And you'll probably, your chances, 80-90% you're going to win that ball game. But then are you developing the other kids where they need to be or not? Should Audrey only be thrown against the good people? Well, if you do that and we don't beat the good people, now you've got your other girls who are needing the experience thrown against the ones who are not as good as those people. Incarnate Word, for instance. Incarnate Word ranked really high nationally already. Picked number 2 in the Lone Star Conference, right behind Enzo State. Got Brianna Sanchez back, who was the pitcher of the year down there. So when we face them, if we either this weekend or that next Thursday, those two will see one another. I'm not sure which day it's going to be. That's what I'm saying about the scheduling, like you asked me, who's going to throw against who. So it's just hard to say. St. Mary's we've got there. St. Mary's beat us out the last day of the season last year as far as going to the national tournament. We start out with Tarleton, who's got the returning pitcher back, who's an outstanding hitter. A lot of the girls played her here in Oklahoma in junior college ball. Play Kingsville. Kingsville always plays great defense, so you're going to be on your toes there. And then you pick up the next day Eastern New Mexico and St. Mary's. So it's the only way you can do it. I mean, if you can't beat those kind of people, you don't want to be playing postseason anyway. Or you got to at least be able to compete with them this time of the year.